Every restaurant you visit is running a psychological experiment on you, and you become the star of a behavioral lab built into your dinner table. The hypothesis: that they can make you spend significantly more money using a combination of digital manipulation, sensory tricks, and good old-fashioned brain hacking. Spoiler alert, they're winning. Modern restaurants have developed increasingly sophisticated manipulation techniques that can boost your spending by up to 40%. From app notifications timed to your circadian rhythms to AI-powered menu personalization, the modern restaurant industry has turned dining into a masterclass in behavioral control. The most effective tools started appearing in ways you'd never suspect. QR code menu tricks that make you spend 40% more. QR code menus started as a pandemic hygiene solution, but they've evolved into the restaurant industry's most powerful spending manipulation tool. Studies confirm digital menus can boost orders by 40%, transforming the innocent square code into a profit-generating machine. Here's how your scan turns into a sales goldmine. When you access the QR code, restaurants can track your phone's data, location history, and previous ordering patterns. They know if you've been there before, what you ordered, how much you spent, and even what time you typically dine. This lets them show you a completely customized menu in real time, highlighting items they know you're likely to order and strategically placing expensive options where your eyes will land first. The psychological impact of scrolling versus flipping physical pages is massive. Digital menus create an infinite scroll experience that encourages endless browsing. Unlike a physical menu with clear boundaries, digital versions keep you engaged longer, exposing you to more items and increasing the chances you'll add extras. Your brain treats scrolling like entertainment rather than a purchasing decision. Here's where it gets sneaky. Some restaurants A/B test menu layouts to learn which items sell best. They might show you appetizers first while showing your dining companion desserts. Different customers see different layouts based on what algorithms predict will maximize sales. The same restaurant can test dozens of menu variations simultaneously. Physical menus create natural spending constraints. You can only see so many items at once, and you're aware of flipping through pages. Digital menus remove these boundaries, making it harder to track how much you're ordering. Without the tactile experience of handling a menu, your brain disconnects from the financial reality of your choices. The 40% spending increase comes from reduced price sensitivity on screens. Studies show people perceive digital prices as less real than printed ones. The same psychological effect that makes online shopping feel less expensive applies to restaurant ordering. The irony is perfect. We spent decades teaching people, don't believe everything you read online, and be careful what you click. Now we're scanning random QR codes stuck to tables and trusting them with our dinner decisions. But the manipulation doesn't stop at ordering. Restaurants have discovered that what you see on your plate matters just as much as what's on the menu. The Instagram plating psychology that empties your wallet. Restaurants now employ dedicated Instagram consultants, whose job is making food look photogenic enough to justify charging you significantly more money. These specialists aren't chefs or nutritionists. They're visual architects who design dishes specifically for social media appeal, knowing that colorful art-style plating can raise perceived taste by up to 29%, enough to command higher prices without improving actual taste or quality. The psychology behind our willingness to pay premium prices for Instagrammable food comes from our brain's reward centers responding to visual stimulation. Colorful ingredients stacked vertically, geometric arrangements of vegetables, and rainbow-colored sauces trigger the same neurological responses as other visual rewards. Your brain literally gets excited by food that looks like art, making you more willing to pay art prices for basic ingredients. One study showed artistic plating made salads taste 29% better in diners' minds. This creates what the industry calls the photo tax, additional charges for visual appeal, rather than taste or nutritional value. That rainbow salad costs $8 more than a regular salad, not because the ingredients are better, but because someone spent time arranging purple cabbage and yellow peppers in photogenic patterns. You're paying for the presentation, not the product. The anticipation of social media sharing drives us to order more photogenic items before we've even tasted them. When we're deciding what to order, part of our brain is already imagining how the dish will look in our Instagram story. This psychological pressure steers us toward pricier, more visually striking options that we might not have chosen based purely on appetite or taste preferences. Restaurants strategically position their most photogenic dishes near windows to maximize natural lighting. Tables by windows become premium real estate not just for diners, but for the food itself. The best lighting conditions encourage more photos, which generate more social media content and free advertising for the restaurant. Chefs now design dishes for viral photos. Your social post becomes free advertising. We've essentially become unpaid food photographers, spending our own money to create marketing content for restaurants. Every food photo you post reaches your entire social network, potentially bringing the restaurant new customers, while you've already paid premium prices for the privilege of creating their promotional material. But restaurants aren't content to wait for you to visit them. They've found ways to reach directly into your pocket. Why limited time app notifications are financial kryptonite. Restaurant apps send notifications timed to your exact hunger patterns using location data and behavioral tracking. They know when you typically eat lunch, what time you get home from work, and even which days you're most likely to order takeout. These apps monitor your movement patterns through GPS and cross-reference them with your ordering history to predict when you'll be hungriest and most vulnerable to spending. The neuroscience behind scarcity-induced impulse purchasing exploits your brain's loss aversion mechanisms. When you see limited time offer in a notification, your amygdala triggers a fear response that bypasses rational decision-making. FOMO psychology makes you imagine missing out on something valuable, even when that something is just discounted French fries. Research shows scarcity messaging can boost impulse orders by as much as 20%, turning artificial deadlines into genuine spending triggers. Apps time their deals for when you're most likely to order, making those prompts hard to ignore. They analyze when you're most active on your phone when you place orders, and even when you open the app without ordering. These limited time offers typically arrive during your natural energy dips, mid-afternoon and late evening, when your willpower is lowest and you're most susceptible to impulse purchases. These notifications are personalized based on your previous orders, current weather conditions, and even your paydays. If you always order pizza on Fridays, expect a flash sale notification around noon on payday Friday. Apps use your weather and order history to send offers you can't resist, analyzing your spending patterns and timing their offers when your direct deposit hits. The psychological pressure of countdown timers and only 3 left messaging creates artificial urgency that short-circuits your normal spending evaluation process. These tactics force quick decisions by making you believe other people are competing for the same limited resources. The combination of convenience and artificial urgency bypasses rational spending decisions entirely. We've trained ourselves to Pavlovian respond to notification sounds with our wallets. That ping from your phone now triggers the same response as a dinner bell immediate action without conscious thought. Your phone has become a 24/7 restaurant sales representative in your pocket, working around the clock to find the perfect moment to separate you from your money. But even this level of manipulation pales in comparison to what's happening once you actually arrive at the restaurant. How AI knows you'll order dessert before you do. Modern restaurant AI systems achieve over 70% accuracy in predicting your dining choices before you've even decided what you want. While you're still reading the menu and debating between the salmon and the chicken, artificial intelligence has already analyzed your data and determined you'll probably order the pasta, skip the appetizer, and definitely want dessert. Machine learning algorithms analyze your ordering patterns by examining every previous visit, tracking which dishes you order, what modifications you make, and how often you return. But the unsettling part is how these systems also analyze your dining companions and conversation tone. If you're dining with your boss, the AI knows you're more likely to order conservatively. If you're with friends, it predicts you'll be more adventurous with your choices. The accuracy gets disturbing when you realize these systems can detect different dining contexts. AI analyzes ordering contexts, birthdays versus business dinners, to make situational recommendations. Celebration customers order more expensive wine and are significantly more likely to get dessert. Stressed diners gravitate toward comfort foods and larger portions. People trying to impress others choose unfamiliar dishes and premium ingredients. The AI reads these patterns through data most humans would never notice. Restaurants use this predictive power to strategically time dessert recommendations and upsell opportunities. Instead of asking everyone if they want dessert, servers now receive real-time alerts telling them exactly when you're most receptive to suggestions. The AI calculates the optimal moment based on your eating pace, conversation energy, and historical spending patterns. Voice analysis technology picks up on subtle changes in tone, speaking speed, and word choice that signal when you're in a spending mood. Happy customers use more adjectives. Indulgent customers speak slightly slower. The system detects emotional states that indicate higher spending likelihood. Predictive algorithms adjust menu recommendations in real time during your meal. If you order an appetizer, the AI immediately recalculates your dessert probability. If you choose wine, it updates your likelihood of ordering coffee afterward. The system constantly refines its predictions as you make each decision. AI anticipates your cravings, sometimes before you do, but this technological sophistication is nothing compared to a simple visual trick that's been fooling customers for over 160 years. The Delborough illusion, still fooling everyone in 2025. The Delborough illusion makes identical portions look dramatically different depending on plate size, and restaurants have built entire pricing strategies around this simple visual trick. The same 6-ounce chicken breast looks generous on a small plate, but appears skimpy on a large one. Your brain automatically compares the food portion to the plate's edge, creating false perceptions of value. Smaller plates make portions look bigger. Studies show people serve themselves up to 35% more on large plates. The 2012 Journal of Consumer Research confirmed this by showing that people overestimate portions when using large plates, serving themselves more than they really wanted. With small plates, they serve themselves less food while feeling more satisfied. Modern restaurants exploit this with Instagram-sized small plates that make portions appear generous while reducing food costs. These trendy smaller plates create the illusion of abundance without increasing expenses. A 5-inch plate makes a standard portion look substantial, while the same food on an 8-inch plate appears inadequate. Restaurants save money on ingredients while customers feel satisfied with less food. The illusion affects satisfaction levels beyond visual perception. The 2012 research showed people actually feel more full when eating identical meals from smaller dishes. Your brain links visual abundance to physical satiety, making smaller plates a psychological appetite suppressant. This connection between plate size and fullness works regardless of actual food quantity. Buffets keep plates small so you think you've piled it on, another clever illusion. Buffet plates prevent customers from overloading, making them think they've eaten more while actually consuming less. A la carte restaurants use large plates to make portions look smaller, encouraging dessert orders by making customers feel they have room for more. Even when people know about the Delborough illusion, it still works. Knowledge doesn't protect you because the visual processing happens faster than conscious thought. Your brain makes the comparison before your rational mind can intervene. But visual tricks are just the beginning. Restaurants have discovered that the right words can be even more powerful than optical illusions. Menu description words that trigger your credit card. Research shows descriptive menu labels can lift sales by up to 27%, and in some tests, push them by nearly 70%. When restaurants replace chicken with herb-crusted free-range chicken, they're not just being descriptive. They're activating your brain's reward centers and bypassing your rational spending evaluation. The neuroscience behind sensory words like succulent reveals why these descriptions work so effectively. These words trigger your brain's reward centers before you've even tasted the food. Your neurons fire in anticipation of texture and flavor, creating genuine physical responses to written descriptions. This neurological activation makes you more willing to pay higher prices for the anticipated sensory experience. Restaurants hire specialized menu engineers to craft descriptions that sidestep rational price evaluation entirely. These consultants study which word combinations create maximum spending responses. They test phrases like slowly braised versus slow cooked to determine which generates higher sales. Their job is making expensive ingredients sound worth the premium while making cheap ingredients sound gourmet. The most profitable words of 2025 include artisanal, heritage, locally sourced, and chef-crafted. These terms create impressions of quality, uniqueness, and care that justify significant price increases. A regular pizza becomes an artisanal heritage grain flatbread, commanding 3 times the price for essentially identical ingredients. These buzzwords exploit our desire for authenticity and craftsmanship. Emotional storytelling in menu descriptions creates perceived value that extends far beyond actual ingredients. Restaurants craft narratives about the farmer who grew the tomatoes, the chef's grandmother's secret recipe, or the ancient preparation techniques. These stories make you feel like you're purchasing culture, history, and expertise rather than just food. Longer descriptions justify higher prices by creating illusions of complexity and care. The more words used to describe a dish, the more valuable it appears. A simple salad becomes market-fresh organic greens carefully selected from local family farms, delicately tossed with house-made vinaigrette crafted from aged balsamic and cold-pressed olive oil. The length suggests effort and quality deserving premium pricing. An $8 chicken breast transforms into a $28 farm-to-table heritage bird with artisanal seasoning blend, slow-roasted using traditional techniques. Same chicken, different story, wildly different price. But restaurants have discovered an even simpler way to make spending feel painless. Why restaurants removed dollar signs and added emojis. The simplest manipulation involves removing dollar signs from menu prices entirely. Studies found diners spend more when menus drop the symbol. They focus on food, not money. When you see 15 instead of $15 next to menu items, your brain processes the information differently, treating numbers as abstract concepts rather than actual money leaving your account. Currency symbols trigger loss aversion mechanisms in our brains that make us more conscious of spending. The dollar sign activates neural pathways associated with loss and financial pain, creating mild anxiety about parting with money. Without these symbols, prices become just numbers on a page, disconnecting the ordering process from the financial reality of your purchase. Listing prices as whole numbers, 19 vs. $19, makes orders feel less costly by removing the visual reminder that you're spending actual currency. This subtle shift encourages customers to focus on the enjoyment of their meal rather than the financial cost, making them more likely to order additional items or choose higher-priced options. Restaurants use points, coins, and other gamification elements to obscure real costs completely. Instead of showing actual prices, some establishments display items as 50 coins or 75 points, requiring mental math to calculate real expenses. This extra cognitive step disrupts your natural spending evaluation process, making you less aware of accumulating costs. Digital menus allow complete price obfuscation through subscription models and credits. Some restaurant apps let you preload money as credits, then spend those credits instead of seeing dollar amounts during ordering. Subscription services offer free meals that aren't really free, hiding the monthly cost behind the convenience of not paying per order. The trend extends to tip screens and payment systems that hide actual dollar amounts behind percentages and preset options. Instead of calculating your own tip in dollars, you're presented with buttons showing good, better, best with percentage amounts that obscure the real cost. Restaurants have successfully transformed purchasing into a game where we forget we're spending real money, treating serious financial decisions like mobile app interactions with colorful buttons and friendly symbols. But even these psychological tricks pale in comparison to the power of perceived expertise. The psychology behind chef's recommendation manipulation. Authority cues like chef's special boost orders. Research shows authority labels can sway up to 20% of diners. When you see that little crown icon or special callout highlighting the chef's choice, you're looking at dishes strategically selected to maximize restaurant profits, not necessarily the ones that taste the best or offer the most value. Authority bias makes us trust professional recommendations, even from chefs we've never met. Your brain automatically assumes that someone with culinary training knows better than you do about food choices. This psychological shortcut bypasses your normal decision-making process, making you defer to supposed expertise without questioning the motivation behind these suggestions. Restaurants strategically place these recommendations in the golden triangle areas, where your eyes naturally focus first. Menu engineers know you'll look at the upper right corner, center, and top left sections before anywhere else, increasing the likelihood you'll choose high-margin items positioned in these prime spots. Real chefs often collaborate with marketing teams to select featured items based on profit margins, ingredient costs, and sales data. The dishes earning special designation get chosen through careful analysis of which options generate the most revenue. While actual culinary professionals may participate in these decisions, the primary motivation remains financial rather than purely gastronomic. The social proof element works because we assume other diners are ordering these special items. If the chef recommends it, other people must be getting it right. This creates artificial popularity that makes the dishes seem more desirable. We imagine satisfied customers everywhere enjoying these featured selections. The recommendation format bypasses our natural price comparison habits completely. When something is presented as a professional suggestion, we stop evaluating it against other menu items. Instead of comparing prices and portions, we focus on the implied quality and expertise behind the choice. We trust the chef more than our own taste buds and budget constraints. Even when we prefer simpler foods or have spending limits, that little recommendation badge convinces us to ignore our preferences and financial sense. The irony is that these professional recommendations primarily serve the restaurant's bottom line. But the manipulation extends far beyond what's written on the menu. Restaurants have discovered that controlling your environment can be just as powerful as controlling your choices. How ambient lighting and music hack your spending brain. Dim lighting and carefully selected music create the perfect psychological conditions for increased spending. Studies indicate that dim lighting and slower music can raise spending by up to 8–10% through environmental manipulation that works below your conscious awareness. Lower light levels reduce inhibitions by affecting your brain's decision-making centers. Darker environments trigger the same neurological responses as evening relaxation, making you feel less concerned about consequences like overspending. Your prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational financial decisions, becomes less active in dimmer settings. This creates ideal conditions for impulse purchases and expensive add-ons you wouldn't normally consider. Music tempo directly controls eating speed and table turnover while encouraging additional orders. Slow music makes you chew slower and stay longer, increasing the likelihood you'll order another drink or dessert. Fast music speeds up eating, allowing restaurants to serve more customers per table. Medium tempo music hits the sweet spot, keeping you relaxed enough to keep ordering without rushing you out the door. Lighting color temperature affects perceived taste and willingness to pay premium prices. Warm yellow lighting makes food appear more appetizing and enhances perceived flavor quality. This warmth creates comfort that translates directly into spending comfort. Cool lighting suppresses appetite but increases perceived value, making expensive items seem worth their cost. Restaurants adjust color temperature throughout the evening to match their profit objectives. These ambient factors work subconsciously, making you feel like spending decisions are entirely your own. You think you're choosing extra appetizers because you're having a great time, when really the environment has been engineered to create that exact response. The lighting and music conspire to put you in the perfect psychological state for maximum spending. Restaurants have essentially become psychological laboratories with really good appetizers. Every lighting fixture and speaker placement serves a purpose beyond ambience. They've turned environmental design into a profit-generating science where the atmosphere you're paying for is actually a carefully designed spending trap. But the manipulation doesn't end when your meal arrives. Modern payment technology has introduced an entirely new category of psychological pressure that activates the moment you're ready to leave. Color psychology, how hues control your appetite and wallet. Restaurant color schemes trigger biological responses that directly control your appetite and spending patterns. Specific color combinations can increase both by up to 30% because these establishments understand that your eyes control your wallet before your brain gets involved. They carefully engineer their visual environments using colors that trigger responses you're not even aware of experiencing. The neuroscience behind how colors affect hunger hormones reveals why certain restaurants feel irresistible while others leave you cold. Red wavelengths stimulate ghrelin production, the hormone that makes you feel hungry, while also activating your sympathetic nervous system to create urgency. Your brain interprets red as a signal for immediate action, making you more likely to order quickly and spend impulsively. Red and yellow stimulate urgency and appetite, while blue suppresses both, which explains why fast food chains drown in red and yellow, while upscale restaurants avoid blue entirely. Yellow increases serotonin levels, creating feelings of happiness and comfort that make you want to stay longer and order more. Blue triggers the opposite response, actually reducing appetite by reminding your subconscious of moldy or poisonous foods that our ancestors learned to avoid. Restaurants use color psychology in everything from wall paint to menu design to actual plate selection. Orange walls make you eat faster, perfect for high-turnover establishments. Green creates impressions of freshness and health, justifying higher prices for salads and organic options. Even your plate color affects how food tastes. White plates make food appear more flavorful, while black plates create expectations of sophistication. Digital menus allow for dynamic color adjustment based on time of day and customer demographics. Breakfast menus might emphasize warm yellows and oranges to stimulate morning appetite, while dinner menus shift toward deep reds and golds that encourage expensive wine pairings. The colors change automatically based on your location, ordering history, and even the weather outside. We're basically responding to restaurant interior design schemes that manipulate our biological responses. You think you're choosing where to eat based on food quality, but your appetite and spending decisions are being controlled by carefully selected paint colors and lighting schemes. But restaurants have discovered that manipulating your emotions can be even more profitable than manipulating your biology. Nostalgia marketing, how comfort food comforts your wallet away. Emotional manipulation reaches its peak sophistication when restaurants weaponize your childhood memories for profit. Nostalgia-based menu items command 40% higher prices despite using basic ingredients, because restaurants have discovered that emotional memories are worth more than actual food quality. When you see mom's meatloaf or grandma's apple pie on a menu, you're not just paying for ground beef or fruit filling. You're paying for manufactured feelings that exploit your childhood memories. The psychology behind how emotional memories override rational price evaluation works because your brain processes nostalgic foods differently than regular menu items. When you read childhood favorite, your prefrontal cortex stops calculating value and your limbic system takes over. This emotional hijacking makes you willing to pay $18 for mac and cheese that costs $3 to make, simply because the description triggered warm memories of being cared for. Restaurants research generational food memories to create targeted nostalgia triggers that hit specific age groups where they're most vulnerable. Menu developers study what baby boomers ate growing up versus what millennials remember fondly. They know that pot roast resonates with older diners, while grilled cheese and tomato soup hits Generation X harder. This demographic targeting ensures maximum emotional manipulation for every age group. Grandmother's recipe and childhood favorite descriptions justify premium pricing by creating artificial authenticity around mass-produced food. That traditional soup came from a commercial kitchen using industrial equipment, but the description makes you imagine someone's grandmother stirring a pot with love. These phrases transform ordinary ingredients into emotional experiences worth paying extra for. Nostalgia marketing creates artificial scarcity around common comfort foods by presenting familiar dishes as special limited offerings. Suddenly, regular mashed potatoes become seasonal comfort classics, available only during certain months. This manufactured urgency makes basic foods seem rare and valuable, even though potatoes are available year-round everywhere. We're paying premium prices for the privilege of feeling old and sentimental about foods we could make at home for a fraction of the cost. Restaurants have successfully monetized our fondest food memories, turning childhood comfort into adult profit margins. But the manipulation extends beyond emotional memories to visual appeal designed specifically for sharing. Social media influence, how Instagram dishes drain bank accounts. Social media has transformed restaurant pricing into a visual tax that you pay willingly. Instagrammable dishes cost 65% more than equivalent non-photogenic options because restaurants have discovered that visual appeal generates higher profit margins than actual food quality. When you order that rainbow smoothie bowl or geometrically stacked burger, you're not paying for superior ingredients or preparation techniques. You're paying for the privilege of creating social media content that makes the restaurant money through free advertising. The psychology behind paying for social media content creation rather than food quality reveals how our brains prioritize appearance over substance. When you see a photogenic dish, your reward centers activate before you've even tasted it. This neurological response makes you willing to pay premium prices for foods designed primarily for cameras rather than taste buds. Your brain associates visual appeal with quality, even when the connection doesn't exist. Restaurants design dishes specifically for social sharing rather than taste optimization by hiring dedicated Instagram consultants who focus entirely on visual impact. These specialists arrange colorful ingredients in height-stacked towers and geometric patterns that photograph beautifully but often compromise flavor combinations. The goal isn't creating delicious food, it's engineering content that customers will share voluntarily. The anticipation of social validation influences your willingness to spend on visual appeal because your brain imagines the likes and comments before you've even posted. This psychological pressure makes you choose photogenic options over foods you'd actually prefer eating. You're essentially paying extra for imaginary social approval from people scrolling through their feeds. Social media pressure creates new forms of dining FOMO and competitive spending that didn't exist before Instagram. When friends post photos of elaborate dishes, you feel compelled to match or exceed their dining experiences. This competitive element turns meals into social currency, making expensive photogenic food feel like necessary investments in your online image. We've become unpaid marketing photographers for overpriced food, spending our money to create advertising content that benefits restaurants more than ourselves. Every food photo you post reaches your entire network, potentially driving new customers to establishments while you've already paid premium prices for the experience. But restaurants have discovered that where you eat can be just as profitable as what you order. Location psychology, how high-traffic areas hijack your impulse control. Busy locations turn your impatience into profit through convenience psychology that makes identical food cost 50% more. That sandwich costs $12 at the airport not because the ingredients are better, but because the location creates artificial value through manufactured urgency. Your brain trades money for convenience without calculating whether that convenience is actually worth the premium. Decision fatigue from busy environments makes you more susceptible to impulse purchases because constant stimulation overwhelms your rational thinking. Walking through crowded areas forces your brain to process endless visual information, sounds, and movement patterns. This mental exhaustion depletes your cognitive resources, making you rely on shortcuts that bypass normal price evaluation. By the time you reach the restaurant, you're mentally drained and more likely to accept whatever prices you encounter. Location-based urgency creates artificial time pressure that bypasses price sensitivity through manufactured scarcity of convenience. High-traffic areas make everything feel rushed, even when you have plenty of time. This perceived urgency pushes you toward quick decisions that prioritize speed over cost analysis. Your brain interprets the busy environment as evidence that you need to act fast, making expensive options seem like necessary solutions. Foot traffic psychology makes you assume popularity equals quality, justifying higher prices through social proof manipulation. When you see crowds of people eating at a restaurant, your brain automatically assumes they know something you don't. This herd mentality makes you willing to pay premium prices because other people are apparently finding value there. The busy location creates its own marketing through visible customer volume. Convenience premium pricing exploits your time versus money mental accounting by making expensive food feel like a smart trade-off. In high-traffic areas, you mentally calculate time savings against price increases and often conclude that paying more is worth avoiding the hassle of finding alternatives. This internal negotiation makes overpriced food seem reasonable compared to the perceived cost of searching elsewhere. High-traffic locations use environmental stress to encourage quick, expensive decisions through sensory overload that impairs judgment. The noise, crowds, and general chaos create pressure that makes spending money feel like escape from discomfort. You pay premium prices partly for the relief of resolving the decision quickly. Location convenience has become a luxury tax on our impatience, turning geographic accessibility into premium pricing justification. But restaurants have discovered an even more powerful way to create urgency that doesn't depend on crowds or chaos. Seasonal menu psychology, how limited time scarcity triggers spending. Seasonal menus transform calendar changes into spending triggers by creating artificial urgency that increases spending by 38%. When restaurants announce their fall harvest menu or summer specials, they're not celebrating nature's bounty. They're exploiting psychological triggers that make temporary offerings seem more valuable than permanent options, turning ordinary ingredients into limited-time treasures. The scarcity psychology behind why limited-time offerings seem more valuable works because your brain equates availability with worth. When something appears for only a few months, you assume it must be special or superior to regular menu items. This artificial rarity creates perceived value that has nothing to do with ingredient quality or preparation complexity. Your mind treats seasonal availability as proof of exclusivity. Seasonal marketing exploits your fear of missing out on unique experiences by creating artificial deadlines around common foods. That butternut squash soup isn't actually seasonal anymore, since global supply chains make these ingredients available year-round. But presenting it as a limited fall offering triggers FOMO that makes you order immediately rather than waiting for your next visit. Restaurants cycle the same seasonal items with slight variations to maintain novelty while keeping production costs predictable. The spring salad from March reappears as the summer salad in June with minor ingredient swaps. The winter comfort bowl becomes the fall harvest bowl with different garnishes. These recycled concepts feel fresh because several months have passed since their last appearance. Seasonal pricing allows premium charges on familiar ingredients through themed presentations that justify higher costs. Regular tomatoes become heirloom summer tomatoes, commanding $5 more. Standard chicken transforms into herb-roasted seasonal bird with inflated pricing. The seasonal designation becomes a surcharge for ordinary ingredients marketed with calendar-based storytelling. Anticipation marketing builds demand for seasonal returns by creating predictable spending spikes around menu cycles. Restaurants track which seasonal items generated the most revenue and strategically bring them back to capitalize on customer memory and excitement. Your brain remembers enjoying that dish last year and creates artificial urgency about experiencing it again. We've been convinced the same pumpkin spice costs more in October than September, even though pumpkins don't suddenly become more expensive based on calendar pages. Artificial seasonality has turned us into calendar-watching consumers who pay premium prices for marketing manufactured scarcity. But this temporal manipulation is just one layer of a more sophisticated pricing strategy that makes every customer feel like a smart shopper. Multi-tier pricing, how price points manipulate your budget perception. Multi-tier pricing structures make every customer feel like a savvy negotiator who discovered the perfect middle ground. When you see 3 pasta options priced at $12, $18, and $24, your brain doesn't evaluate whether $18 is reasonable for pasta. Instead, it compares the middle option to the extremes and concludes that $18 represents smart spending. The anchoring psychology that makes mid-tier options seem reasonable works because your brain uses the highest price as a reference point for everything else. That $24 pasta exists primarily to make $18 feel like a bargain. This initial high price serves as an anchor, influencing you to view subsequent options as better deals, even when they're all overpriced compared to actual food costs. Price tier spacing is calculated to guide customers towards specific profit-maximizing options through careful mathematical manipulation. Restaurants don't randomly choose $12, $18, and $24. They analyze cost structures, customer psychology, and profit margins to determine spacing that pushes you toward their target item. The middle option typically offers the highest profit margin while feeling like the sensible choice. Digital menus can show personalized price tiers based on your ordering history and demographics, making this manipulation even more targeted. If you typically spend $20 on dinner, the algorithm might show you tiers of $15, $22, and $30 to push you slightly above your normal range. The system adjusts the anchoring effect to your specific spending patterns. Tier psychology works across all menu categories, from appetizers to desserts, to influence spending throughout your entire dining experience. Each section uses the same 3-tier structure to maximize profits while maintaining the illusion of choice. You might choose the middle appetizer, middle entree, and middle dessert, thinking you've been reasonable when you've actually been guided toward high-margin items. We've been trained to feel smart for avoiding both the cheapest and most expensive options, like we've discovered some secret middle ground that restaurants don't want us to find. In reality, that middle tier is exactly where they want you, but sophisticated pricing strategies are just the foundation for even more elaborate psychological manipulation. Experience marketing, how themed nights turn wallets into props. Themed dining experiences transform ordinary restaurants into psychological theaters, where your wallet becomes a prop in elaborate spending performances. When restaurants host murder mystery dinners, 1920 speakeasy nights, or medieval banquets, they're creating immersive environments that make you forget you're making financial decisions and instead feel like you're investing in unique memories worth any price. Experiential dining creates emotional investment that overrides normal spending limits because your brain stops treating the event as a restaurant visit. When you're wearing a costume or participating in interactive entertainment, the money you spend feels like admission to an experience rather than payment for food. This psychological shift makes you willing to pay theater prices for basic chicken and potatoes served with medieval flair. Themed environments use multiple psychological triggers simultaneously for maximum spending impact. The decorations create visual stimulation, the music affects your mood, the costumes trigger social bonding, and the interactive elements demand participation. These combined stimuli overwhelm your rational spending evaluation, making expensive themed cocktails and special menu items feel like necessary parts of the experience rather than optional upgrades. Experience marketing transforms dining from commodity purchase into lifestyle investment by positioning meals as cultural events worth documenting and remembering. You're not just buying dinner anymore, you're purchasing stories to tell friends, photos for social media, and memories that justify premium pricing. The restaurant convinces you that spending extra money creates lasting value beyond temporary hunger satisfaction. Social pressure in themed environments encourages group spending and competitive ordering because everyone wants to participate fully in the experience. When your friends order themed cocktails or special appetizers, you feel obligated to match their enthusiasm and spending level. The shared experience creates peer pressure that makes refusing expensive additions feel like social rejection rather than financial responsibility. The uniqueness premium justifies extreme markups on ordinary food and drinks by packaging basic ingredients as exclusive themed offerings. That regular beef stew becomes medieval peasant's feast, commanding twice the normal price. Standard cocktails transform into Prohibition-era elixirs, with inflated costs for creative names and themed presentation. Experience marketing has turned eating out into expensive cosplay with appetizers, where we willingly pay inflated prices for the opportunity to dress up and pretend while consuming overpriced food. These elaborate productions represent just the final layer of an intricate system designed to extract maximum profit from every dining decision. Now you understand how restaurants have transformed every aspect of dining into carefully engineered profit extraction. From QR codes that track your behavior to ambient lighting that controls your impulses, modern establishments deploy 27 distinct psychological manipulation techniques designed to separate you from your money. The sobering reality is that awareness alone won't protect you completely. These tactics exploit fundamental human psychology that hasn't evolved to handle sophisticated marketing manipulation. Your brain still responds to colors, scarcity, and social proof exactly the way it did thousands of years ago, making you vulnerable to techniques that restaurants continue perfecting. But knowledge gives you fighting chance to recognize manipulation when it happens and make more conscious spending decisions the next time you scan that innocent-looking QR code.